There are 5 cars being quietly offloaded onto the British used market right now that the people who actually fix cars for a living would not touch with someone else's money, and the worst of them can hand you a single repair bill larger than the car is worth. By the end of this video, you will know all 5 by name, the exact component that fails in each one, and the 90-second check that tells you whether the bargain on the forecourt is a bargain or a trap. Because here is what the seller will never tell you. A lot of these cars are cheap for a reason, and the reason is parked in a workshop bay waiting for you. Some of them are cheap because they break. Some are cheap because the whole country is trying to get rid of them at once. And the most dangerous ones are cheap for both reasons at the same time. Let me give you the number that frames the whole thing. According to the 2026 Warranty-Wise Reliability Index, which is built not on opinion surveys but on 1.6 million real repair records from cars aged 3 to 15 years, the single most expensive repair logged in the entire dataset was £44,401 on one car, a Land Rover Discovery Sport. Now that is the extreme, but the pattern underneath it is the point. The same data shows the danger zone for a major repair is around 6.8 years and 69,000 miles, which is to say the exact moment the warranty is gone and the car lands on the used market looking affordable. That is not a coincidence. That is the business model. These cars are engineered to feel premium for 3 years and then become somebody else's problem. And in 2026, that somebody is the second-hand buyer who did not read the data first. Here is the first thing you need to understand, because dumping a car in Britain is not the same calculation it is anywhere else. We have built a perfect machine for destroying older vehicles and then selling them on. Our cities now run clean air zones: London, Birmingham, Bristol and the Scottish cities, and a non-compliant car is £12.50 a day to drive into one, which is why pre-2017 diesels in particular are collapsing in value and being pushed out of the door at any price. Our journeys are short and stop-start, which is exactly what clogs a diesel particulate filter and quietly cooks a turbocharger. Our roads are wet and salted half the year. Our independent service network outside the big cities is thin, with long waits for specialists. And the Consumer Rights Act sounds like it protects you, but enforcement is your time, your solicitor, your stress. Add it all up, and Britain produces a steady supply of cars that are mechanically tired, legally awkward and financially radioactive, all wearing a clean coat of polish on a forecourt. It gets worse, because the average car on a British road is now 9.7 years old, the oldest figure ever recorded, which means more of the cars changing hands are deep into the age where the expensive faults appear. We are a nation holding on to cars longer, and then passing the tired ones down the chain. The dumping is real. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what is being dumped. I want to be transparent about how this list was built, because plenty of the car advice online is recycled from brochures and 90-day surveys that measure how quickly the Bluetooth pairs, not whether the engine survives. This is based on 4 things. First, the Warranty-Wise Reliability Index, real repair claims logged in their millions. Second, the long-term owner data behind the What Car Reliability Survey, which, and the Auto Express Driver Power Survey. Third, What Car Residual Value figures, which tell you what the market actually thinks a car is worth, not what the seller hopes. And fourth, the people who do the work, the independent mechanics and engine specialists who see these cars after the warranty dies and have no manufacturer to flatter. No car maker paid for placement here, and a couple of them would happily have me wiped off the internet after it. That is usually how you know you are doing it right. So let me be clear about what dumping actually means before we start naming names, because it is 2 problems wearing one coat. Problem 1 is reliability. The car breaks, and the repair costs a fortune. Problem 2 is residual value. The car is shedding money so fast that owners are bailing out before the next bill. The cruel trick is that those 2 problems feed each other. A car with a fearsome repair reputation scares buyers away, so its price falls, so it looks like a bargain, so a new buyer takes the bait, and the cycle keeps a workshop in business for another year. Once you can see that loop, you cannot unsee it. Here are the 5 cars caught inside it, and there is a second engine driving the dumping in 2026 specifically, which is oversupply. When tens of thousands of identical cars come off fleet and salary sacrifice contracts at the same moment, they flood the used market together and the price falls off a cliff regardless of how the car drives. That is most of the early electric story, and a chunk of the diesel and executive saloon story too. At the same time, the missing cohort of cars from the COVID production collapse has thinned out the supply of good 5 to 7-year-old motors, which means buyers are being pushed down into older, higher mileage cars and tempted by cheap premium metal they would never normally consider. The result is a forecourt full of cars that look like once-in-a-lifetime bargains and are, for most buyers, financial quicksand. The depreciation already happened to somebody else. The repair bill has not happened yet and it is waiting for you. Number 5. The luxury executive saloon, and I am talking specifically about the BMW 7 Series, the Mercedes S-Class and the Audi A7 and A8. Let me be fair first, because these are extraordinary machines. When everything works, an S-Class is one of the finest cars ever built, and a 3-year-old one looks like the deal of the century, 80% off the new price. The problem is why it is 80% off. In the 2026 Warranty-Wise Index, the BMW 7 Series scored 18.7 out of 100, and the Mercedes S-Class 19.2, sitting right at the bottom of the entire table. The complexity that justified the original price tag, the air suspension, the dozens of control modules, the active everything, becomes a minefield of 4-figure repairs the moment the warranty ends. Air suspension compressors, electronic modules, complex multi-zone systems, each one a specialist job that a backstreet garage will not even quote on. And here is the part the brochure never mentioned. Every one of those features that justified the original price is now a separate thing that can fail, which means the very luxury you are buying second-hand is the same luxury that bankrupts the ownership. The market knows. A used Audi A8 retains barely 27% of its value after 3 years, which on a 6-figure car is a loss of around £80,000, and on a BMW X5 from the same stable, the single highest repair in the index topped £30,000. This is not a car you buy. It is a car you rent from depreciation and then pay a ransom to keep running. It looks premium right up until the 3rd year, and then it stops feeling premium entirely and starts feeling like a direct debit you cannot cancel that occasionally tries to leave you at the roadside. Number 4, and this one will be in a lot of your driveways, the wet belt small car. I mean the Ford Fiesta and Focus with the 1-litre EcoBoost engine from roughly 2012 to 2018, and the Vauxhall Corsa, Peugeot 208, and Citroën C3 with the 1.2 PureTech. Genuinely good cars to drive, cheap to buy, brilliant on fuel. But several manufacturers ran the timing belt inside the engine oil to save a little cost and a fraction of a gram of CO2, and that belt degrades and sheds rubber crumbs into the oil. Those crumbs block the oil pickup, the engine is starved, and it can seize completely. A preventative belt change is £700 to £2,000 because the sump has to come off and be cleaned. Leave it too late and you're not buying a belt, you are buying an engine, £3,000 to £5,000, comfortably more than a used Corsa is worth. The group behind the PureTech engine has acknowledged the problem, cut the interval to 6 years or 62,000 miles, and now offers compensation to affected UK owners. Ford has not issued a blanket recall in the UK and argues it is a maintenance matter, which is precisely why owners with full service histories have been left holding the bill. The BBC's watchdog has covered it for years. The cruel part is there is almost no warning. The first sign is often a flickering oil pressure light, and by then the damage is frequently already done, which is why specialists now tell you to change the belt years before the official interval. If your engine fails despite a full service history, you may have a route under the Consumer Rights Act 2015 on durability grounds, but that is a fight you have to pick up and run yourself. If you're buying one of these, you do not negotiate on the price. You negotiate on whether the wet belt has been done, with paperwork, full stop. Number 3, the early electric car, and this is the purest dumping story of 2026. I want to be clear, modern EVs are a different animal, but the first wave is being abandoned at a speed that should make you cautious. The original short-range cars, the early Nissan Leaf, the GW M Aura, the Honda E, are now among the fastest depreciating cars in the entire country. The Leaf retains around 26% of its value after 3 years, the Aura barely 26%, and a used Vauxhall Corsa Electric has lost roughly 72% of its price, dropping from £29,000 to about £8,000. Why? Range moved on, so a 120-mile car competes with new ones doing 250. Fleets dumped them all at once, and the fear that hangs over all of it is the battery. A replacement can run from £5,000 to £15,000, and the earliest Leafs in particular had poor battery cooling and genuinely degraded. The Jaguar I-Pace shows the absolute scale of it, losing well over £50,000 in 3 years, the biggest pound-for-pound drop on the market. Now, here is the honest nuance, because being informed cuts both ways. Most battery warranties run 8 years or 100,000 miles, and guarantee the pack will not drop below 70% capacity, and modern EVs with proper thermal management hold up far better than the scare stories suggest. For a second owner with home charging and a short commute, a cheap used EV can be the bargain of the decade. But you do not buy a 5-year-old electric car without an independent battery health check, the same way you would not buy a diesel without checking the DPF. Buy the battery, not the bodywork. Number 2, the pre-2017 diesel, and this one is being dumped not because it always breaks, but because Britain has legislated it into a corner. The clean air zones charge it, road tax pressure on higher emission cars keeps rising, and the diesel particulate filter, mandatory across the board from around 2009, is the component that punishes exactly the British driving most people do. The filter needs sustained heat to clear itself, and it only gets it on a long run. Drive nothing but short urban trips and it clogs. The back pressure travels into the turbocharger and the injectors, and you're looking at a clean at £150 to £400 if you're early, a replacement filter at £1,000 to £3,500, or a wrecked turbo on top of that. Add the EGR valves and the AdBlue systems that fail alongside it, and a modern diesel has a whole chain of emissions parts queuing up to cost you money. On some popular engines, including a well-known British-built diesel family, turbo replacements alone have run to £4,000 to £6,000, and a large group of owners is pursuing a claim over particulate filter problems, which the manufacturer is contesting. Meanwhile, the clean air charge alone is £12.50 a day, over £600 a year for a single weekly trip into a zone. So you have a car that costs money to drive into town, costs money when the filter blocks, and is hemorrhaging resale value because everyone else has worked this out too. Unless you genuinely do high motorway mileage, the cheap diesel is the most expensive thing on the forecourt, and number 1, the car the data itself crowns, the Land Rover Discovery and Discovery Sport, and its close relative, the Range Rover Evoque. Let me say something fair, because I have to. These cars look magnificent, they are wonderful to sit in, and Britain loves them, which is exactly why so many are out there to buy. But the 2026 Warranty-Wise Index put the Land Rover Discovery at the very bottom of the entire table, with a reliability score of 17.2 out of 100, and 5 of the 10 least reliable models in the country came from the same manufacturer. The Ingenium diesel engine at the heart of many of them is notorious among independent specialists for turbo failures that can run to £4,000 to £6,000, for oil dilution that triggers premature service warnings, and for timing chain and particulate filter trouble. Layer the air suspension, the infotainment and the electronics on top, throw in the parts weights that come with a complex car, and you have the machine that produced that £44,000 repair bill we opened with on a Discovery Sport. Across the bottom 10 of that index, the average repair request was still over £2,000, so even the routine bills here are eye-watering. This is the definition of a car that is dumped rather than sold. Owners get out the moment the warranty expires, the price drops to tempt the next person in, and the cycle continues. It is built to survive the warranty, it is not built to survive you. Now, before I tell you what to buy instead, I want to ask you something directly, and I read the replies. Drop a comment right now with the make and model of the car that cost you the most in a single repair, and what actually failed. My guess is a lot of you are going to name a premium badge and a 4-figure number. I'm also going to guess a significant number of you will say it happened within a year of the warranty ending. That is not bad luck, and it is not you. That is the design working exactly as scoped, which is to get the bill to land on the second owner. So what are the smart Brits buying instead? The other end of that same warranty-wise table is not glamorous, and that is the entire point. The most reliable used car in Britain in 2026 is the Toyota Yaris, with a score of 89.2, where the average repair was under £900. Behind it, the Kia Picanto, the Toyota Aygo, the Toyota RAV4 and the Hilux. Honda and Mazda sit in the same territory. A Skoda Octavia gives you space, and Volkswagen Group engineering with the simpler, more dependable specification, and it consistently outperforms its prissier VW Group cousins. If you want a genuinely affordable used EV, a later car with a verified healthy battery, and a real-world range that suits your week as a smart buy, not a dumped one. None of these will turn a head at the school gates. All of them will start every morning and ask for almost nothing, and they hold their value precisely because everyone else has worked out that boring and bulletproof beats glamorous and broken. That value retention is the quiet tell. The market is voting with money, and it is voting against the 5 cars on this list. Glamour is what you pay for. Reliability is what you keep. Here are the rules. Write them down. Rule 1. Before you buy anything, find out how the engine is timed. Chain, dry belt, or a wet belt running in oil. If it is a wet belt, the change must have been done with paperwork or you walk. Rule 2. Match the car to the law and to your driving. Put the registration into the Free Transport for London checker, which covers the clean air zones, and never buy a short trip diesel for town use. Rule 3. For any premium car or any EV, buy the expensive bit, not the badge. On a luxury car, that means a proper inspection of the suspension and electronics by an independent specialist. On an electric car, it means a battery health report before you commit. 3 checks: the timing system, the legal and usage fit, and the costly component underneath. And one more habit that costs £10 and saves thousands. Run a full history check before you view, not after, so you know the MOT advisories, the recall status, and whether the mileage tells the truth. More than 2 in 5 recalled cars in Britain are never actually fixed, so the recall list is not somebody else's problem. It is yours the moment you sign. They cost almost nothing, and they are the line between a clever buy and a catastrophe. Now the arithmetic nobody puts on the windscreen. Option 1, you buy the tempting forecourt bargain, the premium SUV, or the executive saloon at 80% off because the monthly number looks manageable. Say £12,000 for a car that costs 60 new. It feels like you have beaten the system. Across the next 3 years, it sheds thousands more in value because the depreciation curve on these cars does not flatten the way it does on a Toyota, and somewhere around that 6.8 year, 69,000 mile danger zone, it presents you with one of the bills we have talked about, comfortably £2,000 to £6,000, sometimes far more, and on the worst of them a 5-figure number that ends the car entirely. Now add the higher insurance group, the bigger tyres, the specialist servicing, and the fact that when you come to sell it, the next buyer has watched this exact video. You have bought a car that costs money to own, money to fix, and money to sell. Option 2. You buy the boring Toyota or Kia for similar money. The repair, if it ever comes, averages a few £100s. Insurance and servicing are cheap. The car holds its value, so when you sell it in 5 years, you get most of your money back. Run both columns to the bottom, and the cheap-looking prestige car is, by a wide margin, the genuinely expensive one. The sticker price is the bait. The total cost of ownership is the only number that matters, and it is the one the seller is counting on you to ignore. So here is the bottom line. These 5 cars are not being dumped because British drivers suddenly developed a taste. They are being dumped because the people who own them have hit the bill that the next buyer has not seen yet. None of this is a conspiracy theory. It is a business model, built on the gap between how a car feels in year 1 and what it costs in year 6. Once you can see that gap, you stop being the person it works on. You do not have to be polite about it. You have to be informed about it. Run the 3 checks, ignore the badge, and let somebody else inherit the repair bill. The good, dull, honest cars are still out there, sitting quietly on forecourts while everyone crowds round the shiny one that is about to ruin a stranger's year. Walk past the crowd, go and buy one of those. If this video saved you from a costly mistake, subscribe so you never miss the next one, and share it with anyone about to sign for a used car. That is all.